Namaskar. Welcome to the Swarnim Show. Today we have a very special guest with us. He has literally dictated the terms to what India listens to. India's first chief programming officer in the FM industry. He's a global icon and has represented India from Cannes to Lisbon. A foodie at heart, a programmer, and a vivid lover of art and culture. We have with us Tapas Sen. Namaskar, sir. So we are glad to have you here, Raj, with us, and we've abhi tak been mostly a musical podcast, but we are bifurcating and we want like new experiences to reach our audiences. And sir, what better way than you to have you here on our show to tell our audiences how the FM industry and how the programming content works and how this field deeply impacts our society and culture in general. So, sir, I would like to start by basically asking you that आपने रेडियो मिर्ची को क्रिएट करा है एंड आपने जब इसको को क्रिएट करा था और जब इसकी जो प्रोसेसेस चल रही थी तो क्या आपको पता था कि इट विल क्लिक विद द ऑडियंसेस, और अगर क्लिक करा जब तो आपको कब समझ आया कि okay, this is where it resonated with the audiences?
So, thank you so much, Swarnim, for giving me the honor of being the first non-musical guest, so to say. तो लोग जब मेरे से पूछते हैं कि आप क्या बजाते हो तो मैं कहता हूँ रेडियो. So yes, it's been a really wonderful journey, and you use the word co-create. It was actually a small team which actually conceived of this entire thing. Of course, it was the entire licenses, etc., was taken up by the Times of India group, that time the Bennett Coleman group, and it was they took up the licenses wherever it was auctioned. And finally, we had the honor of starting one of the first private FM stations. And this was launched on the 4th of October 2001 in a lovely city called Indore. So we started from Indore, and जो आपने सवाल पूछा ना कि भाई वो ऐसी क्या चीज़ थी जिससे आपको पता चला कि भाई it will resonate. So I think in English there's a phrase, it was an idea whose time had come. So बहुत दिनों से the radio was always there, and it was slightly on the wane, unfortunately. क्योंकि there was television, there was cable television which was new, and the radio came in a little late. The craze जो एक जुनून था on account of the cable TV, वो उस समय हावी था. When we came in 2001, everybody said कि radio, it's past tense. Or to add to that, this was on FM. तो लोगों ने FM सुना भी नहीं था, AM लोगों ने सुना था, कुछ short waves सुने थे, but nobody had heard of FM. The sets were not available. When we would go to people and they would say, अच्छा ठीक है तो आप FM से हैं, तो they would bring out the radio sets. कहते अच्छा बताइए कि भाई इसमें आपका स्टेशन कहाँ आता है. तो हम उनको बोलते थे कि नहीं सर, आपको you have to buy a FM set. कहता अच्छा आपका रेडियो में है ही नहीं. So those were the issues, those were the initial challenges. But when we started, we just made sure that we, number one, understand the pulse of the people. Number two, we understand the concept of localization. क्योंकि जो तमाम रेडियो है दुनिया भर में वो सारे लोकल ethos पर ही चलते हैं. तो we understood that, and we decided that हर एक ब्रांच मिर्ची का ऐसा लगना चाहिए कि इट इज़ हेडक्वार्टर्ड इन दैट सिटी. तो अगर कोई इंदौर सुन रहा हो, मिर्ची इंदौर, तो उनको लगे कि इसका हेडक्वार्टर्स इंदौर में है. और अगर कोई कोची में सुन रहा हो, उसको लगे कि इसका हेडक्वार्टर कोची में है. दैट was the kind of intimate integration that we were really looking for. And I think the reason why we really succeeded is because we understood the local needs, and we were not hesitant to provide it to them. And like I said, it was an idea whose time had come.
Of course. Well, that's actually beautifully put in a way that I think ये जो local integration है, that's like very important, because any radio station में जब भी आप if it's like a foreign concept and they don't understand the local practices and culture, तो फिर वो बहुत ही distant feel होता है. Radio being a medium that is primarily audio, so yeah, I think that was a very fresh take in a way that, you know, you could provide local experiences to people, and they could relate and resonate with the content that was given out. So I think definitely that's played a big role in Mirchi's success, and it's definitely also the branding and promotion that has been done in a way that everyone knows, oh, Radio Mirchi, like it was on the, like लोगों की जुबान पे था कि अरे रेडियो मिर्ची, इसका कुछ ये इसमें ये like लोगों को पता था कि इस समय ये आने वाला है, this is going to, and this obviously varied with different cities and places. So definitely I think that's a very good way the Radio Mirchi was able to capture the youth especially, and it was very catchy at the time. Yes. So sir, as India's first chief programming officer, you were literally shaping a new role. So how did that feel? Like when you got to know कि आप कुछ ऐसा करने वाले हैं, तो आपको what was your reaction?
So before that, I'll just go back a little.
Yeah.
आपने जिक्र किया कि रेडियो एक ऑडियो मीडियम है. तो जब हमारे यहाँ लोग आते हैं और ट्रेनिंग के दौरान जो पहला सबक है जो उनको बताया जाता है, in fact, I do this in every talk that I've ever given. I always start with the point that radio is truly a audio visual medium. उसके अंदर ऑडियो मेरा है, वीडियो आपका है. सिर्फ यही फ़र्क है, you know. तो therefore just this understanding that people have to treat this medium, the people who are creating the content have to treat it as an audio visual medium, was the first big step that we took in our internal training programs, and that made a humongous amount of change in the understanding of the medium, in the internal understanding of the medium. As far as जो आपका सवाल है on chief programming officer, तो मैं ये बता दूं आपको कि जैसे जैसे डिजिटल का इजाद हुआ in the last 10 years or so, we have changed the designation to chief content officer.
Okay.
ये बात सही है कि शुरू में it was the chief programming officer, and essentially the role was not, the idea was to zoom out and see for yourself what is the kind of impact that the radio station and the brand is making. So it was purely on account of content, but how does each piece of content react in every different market? So the chief programming officer had a huge structure which helped that. So every station had its local person who understood the language, who understood the ethos, and then gradually we had managers at city level, at regional levels, at linguistic level, at state level, at zonal level, and then it came to the regional programming officer. So the actual action hai, that action always happens at the local level.
Yeah.
At the chief programming officer level, it is mostly strategy. जिस चीज़ की आप तारीफ़ कर रहे हैं उसका श्रेय जो है, it always goes to the local team. Corporate office में बैठ के you cannot create something as magical as we did with Radio Mirchi. But यही है कि भाई strategy भी ज़रूरी है. So yeah, largely the job was on content strategy.
No, that's quite a way to put it, because you've been in such a big role, but yet you're giving the credit to the local teams, which definitely I'm pretty sure that उनका बहुत बड़ा local level पे क्या चलता है, and like right from the regional level. I think that's why Radio Mirchi was able to, you know, engage with the audiences. Sir, going from the local level to the international level now, you've represented India at Cannes, Lisbon, Paris. So sir, what is one perspective that you think that international audiences are surprised to hear about the Indian media?
Oh, so the most surprising thing for foreign audiences whenever I've had an opportunity to present in front of them is the sheer numbers. So numbers always impress them. At one point of time, Radio Mirchi's Delhi, okay, let me put it nationally, Radio Mirchi's national weekly listenership was almost 50 million. The 50 million, there are many countries who don't have a population
Of 50
that
million,
long.
of course, yes.
America has a population of 350 million, but there are a whole lot of European nations which are much smaller. So they're shocked at the numbers, and this is just one radio channel. So one thing that really impresses them is the numbers and how we are being able to cater to the numbers. B, what they're very impressed with is the fact that we have been very creative in our approach in terms not just of content but even for revenue.
Revenue, yes.
We have, in fact, now I can speak of, and this is not true when we started, but now the revenue team sells radio as only a part of the package.
Yeah.
The rest is all digital. तो जब आपको कोई भी मैसेज आपको कम्युनिकेट करना हो तो the platform doesn't matter. Radio is one of the platforms. Social media can be another platform. Events can be a third platform. तो ये जो तमाम जो platforms हैं, they are all doing the same thing. They're communicating the message. So we learned that, and we decided a good mix, and then we learned how to monetize it. This monetization, उसका exactly क्या mix है, is something that the West is very impressed with us. In fact, earlier this year, I was presenting in Italy, and वहाँ पे presentation यही था कि how to find creative ways of monetization.
Monetization, of course.
Which is one of the most critical things in today's day and age. So yeah, that is one of the things, the numbers and the creative way how we have gone about it. Some of the approaches have been very unorthodox. Is something that really impresses them.
I think that the sheer numbers, obviously because of our population as well, that we have such a large listening base and audiences for like different kinds of content. So definitely revenue being at the center point of all operations these days. So yeah, I think that's a very creative way कि कैसे हमारे revenue generate करने का की वजह से भी बहुत सारे channel sustain भी नहीं कर पाते हैं. So I think what Radio Mirchi was able to do was succeed in revenue generation, and that has led to its success and actually contributed to its numbers as well. Definitely, sir. So, sir, another thing that I would like to ask you, since you have, all these experiences on the global stage, so do you still think that Indian media, especially like in the context of today, is it more influenced by Western outlooks still, or are we also contributing to the global outlook in a way?
Media per se needs to be local.
Yeah.
So whether we are influencing American media or American media is influencing us is not of too much significance. The important question is whether the Indian media is being able to represent the Indian story adequately.
Precisely.
वो जो कह रहे हैं वो मुकम्मल है या नहीं है, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. मुख्तलिफ तरह के स्टोरीज़ आती हैं हर रोज़ और मैं देखता हूँ कि हाउ द मीडिया रिप्रेजेंट्स इट. सवाल वहाँ पर है. एंड देयर आर मेनी चैनल्स वेयर आई फाइंड कि ये जो स्टोरी है इसको इम्पार्शियली नहीं प्रोजेक्ट किया गया है, बट देयर आर मेनी चैनल्स विच डू दैट. तो द सवाल ये है कि हाउ मच इज़ द करंट इंडियन स्टोरी being adequately represented by the Indian media abroad. जो बाहर रहते हैं, जब वो Indian media सुनते हैं, do they believe it?
Yeah.
Is there credibility there?
Of course.
तो सवाल वो है, और वो बहुत ही बुनियादी सवाल है. जैसे हमें अगर हमें यूरोप का कोई न्यूज़ चाहिए, तो often we turn to BBC. Because everything said and done, BBC has high credibility.
Yeah.
Does Indian media enjoy that credibility among the news consumers across the world? It's an open question. I can't
With no
answer.
definitive answer.
Yeah, there's no definitive answer. Yeah. But the reason why I'm bringing this up, कि जो यहाँ पे इंडियन मीडिया के जो मुख्तार हैं, उनको इस सवाल पर बहुत ज़्यादा तवज्जो देने की ज़रूरत है. कि हमारी क्रेडिबिलिटी बनी रहे. इट शुड नॉट बी सेल्फ एजेंडा ड्रिवन.
हमें जैसे आजकल टीआरपी की भी बात होती है एंड हाउ यू नो रेवेन्यू डेफिनेटली अफेक्ट्स देयर बिजनेस एंड अफेक्ट्स द वे दे प्रेजेंट न्यूज़, बट आई थिंक मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली इट्स अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट रोल एज वेल, राइट? बिकॉज आप बता रहे हो पूरे समाज को कि अच्छा ये चल रहा है. लिटरली न्यूज़ पे जो होता है इज टेकन एज अ फैक्ट बाय द कॉमन मैन, राइट? Nobody actually double checks.
Correct.
न्यूज़ पे आ गया तो आपको
Correct.
पता है कि ये सच है.
Correct.
यही होगा सच.
Correct.
इसके अलावा कुछ हो नहीं सकता. एंड देन आप जब कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग वर्जन्स अलग अलग चैनल्स पे सुनते हो तो आपको और कन्फ्यूजन होता है कि अरे ये बोल रहे हैं. देन यू स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग कि ओह व्हाट इज ट्रू एंड व्हाट इज नॉट. सो आई थिंक उस लेवल पे भी इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू यू नो मेक श्योर दैट व्हाट इंडिया, especially Indian media, represents the content on the global level. Right. I have also worked a little bit in like an internship in media, so मेरे को याद है कि when we used to put in translations and वो live translate होके TV पे जाता था, the feeling was very exciting कि अरे मैंने जो भी डाला वो एकदम is being live broadcasted. But yes, मुझे ये भी लगा कि ओ कितनी power है इस समय पे कि whatever I'm putting is going out. So the role definitely अगर Indian media has to present, and I think it's a brilliant point आपने जो कहा कि it news as local perspective का presentation outlook decide करता है. That's a beautiful way to answer that, sir. So sir, another important question that I have in mind is that you've been an educator, media educator. You've from University of Delhi to Bennett University. It's been an essential part of this media education. So sir, I feel that sometimes there are a lot of gaps here and there. So according to you, sir, in this whole media education training that has been going on for now, any gaps you can identify or something that you would want to make part of the compulsory curriculum?
So ये तालीम का जो पूरा एरिया है मीडिया के सिलसिले में, इसमें the biggest inadequacy I find is that in many places, I won't say most, in many places, it is still being taught by theoreticians and not by practitioners. और the perspectives, उसमें ज़मीन आसमान का फ़र्क है. तो the only thing that I'd like to bring about the change is that आप students को दोनों तरह के exposures दीजिए. You know, theory is very, very important. There is no doubt about it. But you have to integrate actual practitioners, media practitioners, who come and speak to the students. जब वो actual practitioners के मुखातिब होते हैं तो उनको बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो उन्होंने क्लासरूम में पढ़ी हैं, it falls into perspective, और वो ज़रूरी है. मेरे को लगता है कि आज के जो मीडिया एजुकेशन में इस चीज़ की एक कमी है. अभी भी वो लोग थोड़ा बहुत भी नहीं, काफ़ी हद तक they are still going on with the it's a classroom approach, whereas it has to be classroom plus industry approach. That change is coming, definitely it is coming, but it is still a long way off.
Of course, no. So that's an important aspect. My next question was actually related to this only. Ki since you've worked on both ends of the like the field, sir, can you narrate to us an experience or maybe like a takeaway from this कि how आपका रियल लाइफ एक्सपीरियंस और आपका ट्रेनिंग जो आपने करी थी उसमें एक मोमेंट आता है ना जब आपको लगता है कि ओह दिस इज़ प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज, दिस इज़ ऑन फील्ड एक्सपीरियंस, ये आप बुक्स में नहीं पढ़ सकते, ये थ्योरेटिकली नहीं पढ़ सकते. सो सर ये वाला कोई इंसिडेंट या एनेक्डोट आप शेयर कर सकते हैं हमारे साथ जहाँ पे आपको लगा हो कि ओके दिस इज़ नॉट टॉट, दिस इज समथिंग यू लर्न ऑन?
Sure. We had a radio presenter. I'm not taking her name. तो हमें रेडियो में ये बताया जाता है कि रेडियो नहीं किसी मीडियम में कि भाई आपको न्यूट्रल रहना है और आप कहानी के साथ बहुत ज़्यादा जज्बाती नहीं हो सकते. You can't get too emotional. And this girl, her brother was a Air Force pilot. And her father was an Air Force pilot. And during one of the wars, the brother got into some extremely difficult situations. And the family was, for days and days, they were in a very bad shape because they were not getting the correct information and all that. So while she was doing that broadcast, she started crying, actually, you know. And though it seems to be against the rules, बट मेरे को लगा कि उस लम्हे में जो कनेक्ट हुआ लिसनर्स के साथ, यू कांट डू इट थ्रू एनी क्लासरूम कोचिंग, यू जस्ट कैनॉट, यू नो. मैं आपको एक और मिसाल देता हूँ. वी हैड गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ चिल्ड्रन ऑन अ ब्रेकफास्ट शो वंस, एंड बहुत शोर शराबा था, बहुत इट वॉज अ फन शो, एंड देन समवेयर इन द मिडल ऑफ द शो the presenter said, the children had gone out of the studio, and somewhere the presenter said, अच्छा मैं आपको बताना भूल गया, ये सारे जो बच्चे हैं they are all cancer patients.
Okay.
And that one line changed the entire mood of the program, of the show. And when the children came back into the studio to do the rest of the program, माहौल वैसा ही था, you know, वही हंसी मजाक का, वही खुराफाती situations, लेकिन the way the audience was now perceiving it was completely different. वही बच्चों वाले jokes, but now it was coming from a different perspective. And after the show was over, our phone didn't stop ringing. You know, these are the things which you can't teach in the classroom. ये आपको तजुर्बे से ही आपको हासिल होगा.
Of course. नहीं सर, ये प्रैक्टिकल एक्सपीरियंसेस ही मीडिया की आई थिंक फिनोमिनल होती है, इन द सेंस कि व्हेन आई वाज lucky enough to go for an internship for media, I think one of the I think a very famous anchor was narrating a story, and when he told us the details, we were like awestruck कि ये how do you learn, you can't learn, like उन पे गोली चल गई थी, and he was just like, you know, कि for the first time मेरी लाइफ पे एक थ्रेट लगा मुझे कि एज अ मीडिया रिपोर्टर, एंड सो मतलब रियल लाइफ स्टोरीज एंड विथ रियल पीपल, बिग नेम पॉलिटिशियंस, एंड आपको लगता है कि ये तो मतलब एक अलग ही डायनामिक ऑफ फील्ड है जो लोगों को अवेयरनेस ही नहीं है इसके बारे में कि दिस पर्सन हैज एक्चुअली लिटरली शेप्ड द नैरेटिव ऑफ हाउ पीपल परसीव द न्यूज़. So definitely, sir, that's a very important point that you've shared with us. And so with that, I would like to proceed to our rapid fire round. A quick intro about that is that it's just like questions you can take 1 line, 2 line, or like you can answer them at length. That's up to you. And it's like a fun, quick session that we have. So let's start with that.
Let's start.
Okay, sir. Radio or print?
I have tremendous respect and love for print. Tremendous. But radio is my first love.
Of course. The most unforgettable on-air moment in your career?
4th October 2001, 6:59 a.m., 9th floor of Industry House in Indore. After years and years of finally striving, the full-fledged private FM was about to take off. And at 7 o'clock the broadcast would begin, and I think that moment, that 1 minute before we actually put the fader up and the announcer starts speaking, there is 1 minute of silence where everybody is just like you're shooting here. Just before you start, you just ask for silence. There's 1 minute of silence, and I think there were about 8 or 10 people in the studio, and you could hear 8 or 10 different heartbeats. That's the only thing that you could hear. It's an unforgettable moment.
It's truly.
Yeah.
It's the calm
For
before the
months,
storm.
years, it was मतलब एक ख्वाब का मुकम्मल होना, जिसको आप कह सकते हैं, और एक जने का ख्वाब नहीं. It's a collective dream. And it was मतलब हिंदुस्तान में एक तरह से पहली बार ही हो रहा था, कह सकते हैं आप. It was amazing. Yeah.
Definitely. It must be surreal. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Definitely. Okay, the first song that comes to your mind when you think of Radio Mirchi?
Okay, उन दिनों एक फिल्म रिलीज़ हुई थी, ये तेरा घर ये मेरा घर, और उसमें से एक गाना था, सरस्वती ये तेरा घर ये मेरा घर, एंड वी वुड प्ले इट ऑन अ ह्यूज रोटेट. तो वो जहन में बैठ गई है वो गाना, बिल्कुल.
Okay. Food you can't live without, street food or fine dining?
Both actually. For foodie के लिए ये बोलना कि street food या fine dining बड़ा ही मुश्किल सवाल है. It's like asking a child whether you like your mother more or
father more, yeah.
मैं दोनों enjoy करता हूँ. Yeah.
Okay. If not media, would you rather be a zoologist in the wild or an art historian in the museum?
I would be a teacher.
Ah,
That would be my art history is of tremendous interest to me, though I never studied it formally. But anything to teach, I really feel that that's something that comes naturally to me.
naturally. That's beautiful. Okay. One global media personality you would love to have dinner with.
Oh, I would have to say there is an anchor in CNN called Christina Amanpour. वो सियासी बातों पे ज़्यादा वो कवर करती हैं, सियासी मुद्दे जो हैं उन पे वो कवर करती हैं वो. And I think she's a fantastic journalist, fantastic. Or the simple fact that she has so much courage to go into the trenches and do those things herself, it's fantastic. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. Politics, art, or food? Which one sparks the longest conversations with your friends?
फूड में कोई कॉन्वर्सेशन नहीं है क्योंकि जब फूड है तो मुंह बंद है. तो इसलिए कोई कॉन्वर्सेशन नहीं है फूड में. फूड के इर्द गिर्द कोई लड़ाई भी ज़्यादा नहीं होती क्योंकि जिसका भी जो भी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है, आई डोंट हैव अ प्रॉब्लम इन एग्रीइंग टू इट. आर्ट थोड़ा सा इsoteric है. आर्ट पे ज़्यादा गुफ्तगू इसलिए नहीं होती क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग उस पर जुनूनी नहीं है.
नहीं है.
सियासी मामलों में ऑफ कोर्स बातें शुरू होती हैं तो फिर बहुत देर तक चलती हैं. तो आजकल ये कोशिश की जाती है कि अगर वक्त कम हो तो सियासी बातों
को ना ही छेड़ा जाए, ना ही छेड़ा जाए. हाँ, बिल्कुल. डेफिनेटली. ओके. कॉफ़ी और चाय बिफोर अ बिग प्रेजेंटेशन?
गरम पानी.
Eloquent. That's quite. Okay. A dream project you still want to create?
मुश्किल सवाल है. ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट में आई थिंक इट वुड डेफिनेटली इन्वॉल्व टीचिंग.
Teaching.
तो स्कूल या बोलना विल नॉट बी कंप्लीट, बट लेट्स कॉल इट some kind of a communications platform.
Communications.
Yeah,
platform.
I think that's the best that I can talk about it. But अगर सीधा सवाल का जवाब दिया जाए तो yeah, I definitely think that some kind of an academy.
Kind of like a role of an educator or like a mentor type.
That's right.
Makes sense. Quite interesting. Okay. If your life had a soundtrack, which genre of music would dominate?
Say it again.
If your life had a soundtrack, what genre of music would it dominate?
Difficult question, but I would like to believe that perhaps jazz. Perhaps jazz. क्योंकि उसमें ना the entire composition is not. It's a little erratic. You know better because you're a musician,
yeah,
right?
Of course, yeah.
So it does not follow the conventional rules of a straight, smart, song notations. It has a lot of jagged edges.
Of course.
And I think most of our lives are like that. There are.
You can never predict or never know.
Absolutely. It going smooth and suddenly jagged edges, etc. तो अगर ज़िंदगी की बात करनी हो और उसका अगर कोई नुमाइंदा चाहिए तो फिर मेरे ख्याल से jazz is the best way to do it.
Oh, that's definitely, yeah, that's an interesting one. Okay, one advice you'd give to a 20-year-old entering the media today?
Learn the art of forming opinions.
Forming opinions.
Opinions is very underrated. और हम ये internal training में भी हम ये बात बार इस पे बहुत तवज्जो देते हैं कि people don't want information. Information is on the tap. You know what you're holding. After the show is over, you will find enough of information. जो पिछले आधे घंटे में पूरी दुनिया में हुआ, you will get it. Information is not the problem. But think of the best journalists. You want to hear their point of view. You want to hear their opinion. So the art of creating an opinion is critical is critical for any media person, any media person. So that's what we always teach, and that's what I'd like to say, that or shayad 20 years is too young to form an opinion, but at least try and learn the art of doing it. It'll take you 10 years, but आप बिस्मिल्लाह तो करें.
हाँ, शुरू तो करें सर.
जी बिल्कुल.
Definitely. Okay, the last question we have for rapid fire, I think it's very eloquent in a way. If you had to explain your career journey to your younger self, the zoology student, what would you say?
I would say that my career has been like any other animal which I studied in zoology, because when you look at the animal, you get a particular impression, but when you dissect the animal, it's a different world. So I think the career also is a bit like that. You know, it's when you go into it, it looks in a particular way, but once you're inside it, it's a completely different world that you need to negotiate. तो मैं बस यही बोल सकता हूँ, आपका सवाल बहुत उम्दा है और बड़ा मुश्किल है. That's the best that I can say. That in zoology, this is the basic thing we learned, that you know there is the outward morphology, and there is the internal histology, or the anatomy. Of course, yes. You know, the morphology is only a cover. So similarly, in your career, the morphology of the career is extremely different from the histology and the anatomy of the career. Once you go in, it's a different world.
So that's actually very beautifully put. That it's basically, I think, a comparison भी हो जाता है एक तरीके से, that you never know when you enter the world. और आप जब शुरू करते हो, you start with something, and when you look back 20-30 years down the line, it just feels surreal that you are here after like all these years. So definitely that's a beautiful way to put it. So with that, we come to the end of our rapid fire round, and I think the last question for the podcast I would like to ask you is, as a person who has spent his life in media, और आपने कैसे पूरे इतने साल डेडिकेट करें इस फील्ड को, क्या आपको लगता है कि मीडिया का रोल अब और क्रूशल है in our, especially the digital age, और more than crucial, कैसे शेप होगा आगे आपके हिसाब से?
मेरे ख्याल से मीडिया इज रियली मैच्योर्ड इन इंडिया, एंड ये ज़रूरी है समझना कि मीडिया इज़ नाउ अवेलेबल इन एवरी नुक एंड कॉर्नर. पहले सिर्फ 2-3 चीज़ें ही होती थी मीडिया में. प्रिंट होता था, टीवी होता था, आउटडोर होता था. अब नाउ एवरीथिंग इज़ मीडिया, राइट? दिस इज़ मीडिया, राइट? एवरीथिंग इज़ मीडिया. लेकिन मीडिया को और मैच्योर होने में और उसमें क्रेडिबिलिटी लाने में, वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग्स इज़ अ वैल्यू सिस्टम. तो मेरे को लगता है अक्सर कि हम लोग जब भी हम इंटरनल ट्रेनिंग में भी और कोई भी कंपनी हो, आई थिंक द एम्फेसिस ऑन एन एथिकल वैल्यू सिस्टम, उसकी कहीं ना कहीं कमी है. वी आर मोर कंसर्न्ड विद सक्सेस, we are more concerned with numbers, we are more concerned with revenue, which is all very fine, क्योंकि no business can run without any of them. But उसके साथ just one more layer of just basic ethics and value system is so critical. And that is eventually going to make the communication, the stories, the connect so much better. Of course. So much better. You know, and that's what any media person wants, just the connect. आप सच बोलेंगे तो ज़रूर आपके साथ जो आपका ऑडियंस है, वो आपके साथ will be able to connect far easier,
definitely better connect, better understanding. No sir, that's actually beautiful, because सच बोलने की हिम्मत एक तो बहुत लोगों में होती भी नहीं है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. और अगर ये सच वाला बात पे अगर हम आए तो कनेक्ट हमेशा सच से ही करा जाता है.
थोड़ा सा क्लीशेड है ये कहना, जो मैं कह रहा हूँ आपसे कि इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यू सिस्टम, और कहते हैं कि भाई कहना बड़ा आसान है. बट टुडे आई एम इन अ पोजीशन टू से दिस बिकॉज आई हैव स्पेंट 30 years. सो अगर कोई कहता है कि भाई कहना बड़ा आसान है, करना मुश्किल है, तो हमने काफ़ी हद तक करके भी दिखाया है. You know, we have sacrificed some good stories because we thought that they were
crossing the ethical,
crossing the line slightly, and we said no, let us sacrifice it. कोई बात नहीं. You know, over a period of time our audiences will be with us, and we have seen it. वो immediately उसका results नहीं मिलता है. हो सकता है immediately it goes against you,
Yeah.
but you sleep better and you feel that whatever little responsibility, again cliches हैं, that you have a social responsibility, but सच है, you know, you do have a social responsibility,
Yeah,
you can't
precisely.
ignore that. So you do a far better job of it.
Definitely. So with the ethical lines and moral, comes like there has to be a moral grounding in some sort of way that keeps it's not just about the field, as a human also, on a human level also, आप लोगों से better connect भी कर पाते हो.
Like Spider-Man says, with great power comes great responsibility.
Absolutely. No, like I think there's no better way to end the podcast with that line. And sir, we were actually glad, and in a way बहुत understood, like misunderstood है media. टीवी पे चलता है, like there's a narrative that goes on about the media कि अच्छा media is like this, media is like that. But आज आपसे बात करके ऐसा लग रहा है कि मीडिया ना तो this है ना तो that है, it's something else only. And ये समझने के लिए you have to be more informed in a way. And I think हमारी responsibility है ये करना. And I think our show will do that for a lot of people कि बहुत लोगों को पता चलेगा कि इससे कैसे the media field works and the intricacies and how many years and dedication and work and hard work कितना आपने डाला इस चीज़ में. So thank you, sir, for having for coming to our show. And so we have a small.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, it's been an honor to be on the Swarnim show.
Yes, sir.
And I'm really glad, and I'm so happy that you invited me.
So thank you, sir. This is a small token for you.
Thank you so much. This is huge. This is not small by any means. I don't even know ये frame में आ रहा है या नहीं. Thank you very much.
It's just
thank you so
a
much.
small gesture. And sir, with that, we would just have one request from you. Please हमारे दर्शकों को बताइए to subscribe to the Swarnim show.
Certainly. You know, इससे पहले आने से पहले I saw a few Swarnim shows. और मैं पहली बार आपसे मुखातिब हुआ.
हाँ जी.
और मेरे को बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है और और मैं इस उम्मीद में हूँ कि भाई इस शो को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग देखें और इन सब सारे शोज़ में मेरे को जितना जो एहसास हुआ कि कहीं ना कहीं एक बड़ा सिंपल सा सबक है, लेसन है, एंड एवरी टाइम यू लर्न समथिंग मोर. एवरी टाइम आई हैव सीन एन एपिसोड, आई हैव ओनली कम आउट ऑफ इट स्लाइटली रिचर. तो आपकी ज़िंदगी के आधे घंटे हैं, लेकिन अगर आधे घंटे में आपको अगर 1 मिनट का भी एक्स्ट्रा रिचनेस मिल रहा है तो then 1:30 ratio in today's day and age is excellent.
Absolutely. So
Thank you
that's
again.
nothing more beautiful than that. And with that, we come to the end of today's podcast. And हम इसी तरह हर हफ्ते नया कंटेंट लाते रहेंगे. हम अपनी फील्ड को एक्सपैंड कर रहे हैं and we are bringing in more and more guests from different fields. और हमारा सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी रहता है आपका सपोर्ट. प्लीज़ लाइक करें, शेयर करें एंड प्लीज़ सब्सक्राइब करें. सब्सक्राइब करने से हमारा हौसला बहुत बढ़ता है और हमें और मौका मिलता है कि आपके लिए और एपिसोड्स ला पाएँ और गेस्ट्स के साथ इंटरेक्ट कर पाएँ. एंड आई प्लीज़ होप दैट इट्स हेल्पफुल फॉर यू ऑल्सो. हमारे ऑडियंसिस के लिए हेल्पफुल होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. तो इफ़ देर आर एनी सजेशंस, इफ देर आर एनी कॉमेंट्स, प्लीज़ लेट अस नो इन द कॉमेंट्स, DM us, let us know how we can improve, and please like, share and subscribe to the Swarnim show. I'll see you next week. Thank you.